Welcome back for another kids-based video. I am a 9-to-5 nanny, and so I just thought it would be super fun to share books from my childhood. So like most parents do, they want to get rid of kid stuff when you are grown, and so I had my mom keep books. And so I have a very massive stack of books here to just go through and talk about for a couple seconds. I thought this would be fun for me to do, but also kind of fun to share, so let's just get going. One of my top favorites growing up, this is The Princess and the Pizza by Mary Jane and Her Mouth. This is just the funniest book. So it's a princess, but she's no longer a princess because her dad gave up the crown to be a wood carver, and then suddenly this new village that they're in, this new town, suddenly has like a contest for marrying the prince and becoming a princess. And so she goes, and they've got references to lots of different tales throughout the time, and it all culminates when there's just a couple princesses left and they have to prepare a meal. It does not go well for her, but she accidentally invents pizza. And then she realizes that she doesn't actually want to marry the prince. She's got more important things to do, and she opens her own pizza shop. But it's just a really good princess story that's not like princess story, and it's really funny, and I love the pictures. I remember as a kid being really annoyed that she had short hair, but now looking at the pictures, they just are like the epitome of nostalgia for me, and I love this one, and it's pretty beat up, but I will try to link all of these because this is just such a good one. I do change out the beheading for being thrown in the dungeon just because I feel that that's more age appropriate for the kids that I'm watching right now, but it's such a good book. Okay, I know that there's another Tacky book in this pile, but this is Tacky, and it's just an odd bird, and so it's like they always end the book, and I think begin the book with something along the lines of Tacky was an odd bird, but a nice bird to have around, and these are by Helen Lester, and they're just really silly. So this one is like penguins have a cheering contest, and he just can't get it right, but then his cheer ends up being the best. And then the other one, I'll just insert it here when we get it. Okay, so here's the second Tacky book. This is Tackylocks. Same situation where Tacky's an odd bird, but a nice bird to have around, and he helps them put on Goldilocks, but it's Tackylocks, and things go wrong, but it's very, very silly. Okay, these books by Ted Arnold are amazing. I love these. As a kid, I remember really loving this one, but now as an adult, I love reading this one. Oh, they're just so funny. So this one is No More Jumping on the Bed, so the kid decides to jump on the bed anyway, and he falls through the floors of the apartment building, and each, time someone new is added to the lineup. And it's such a good one because the kids can then like learn what's coming next. Yeah, so it'll be like down fell Walter, down fell Miss Hattie, Mr. Hanratty, and the kids know it so they can participate in the reading. This is the second one. This is about William and his bathtub. This is my favorite now as an adult. Basically, he wants more water in the tub. He wants it deep, but his mom says no more water, and so then his brother tells a story, and it's the same thing where he starts out on the top floor of the apartment building but floods the bathtub, and then down he goes, takes you down. Same thing where it's one more person every time, and this one is really nice because not only is it a person, but they're like on something. So it's Mabel on the table, or Sue and Vern clung to a fern, and so the kids can learn that and kind of read it with you, and it's just a really fun book. I love these so much. Also from my childhood that I don't know if anyone else has read these, but these are by Margie Palatini. These are the Moosetache books. Honestly, I wonder if there are more, but I just know Moosetache and Mooseltoe, and it's just this moose with this crazy, insane moustache, and he doesn't know how to handle it, and then he meets a lady who teaches him how. And then the second one is them and their family at Christmas time. They're funny, and the illustrations are great. The illustrations are by Henry Cole, and they're just really funny books, especially if these kids have someone in their life with like a mustache. Another favorite of mine, Click Clack Moo, Cows That Type. This is by Doreen Cronin with pictures by Betsy Lewin, and this is about cows that type, and they go back and forth with Farmer Brown, and they have issues, and it's another good one for kids to repeat, Click Clack Moo, because it's on like every other page. Strega Nona is a classic. Is it a Caldecott? Yeah, a Caldecott honor book. This is a Italian tale. I believe it's Italian, and it's retold, and the pictures are great. It's by Tommy De Paula. It's such a good classic, and I think every kid should just like have this. Okay, so this next set of books, I cannot stand reading them. It's my least favorite, but I keep them around because I remember liking them as a kid and the kids like them. But these are the Froggy books and they just drive me crazy because I don't think they're particularly interesting. I think that like 2 and 3 is like the perfect age for these books. There's lots of noises like zing, zet, zet. These are by Jonathan London, illustrated by Frank Remkowicz. Kids love them, so I keep them, but I do hide them in the back sometimes. I do think a lot of people do know this one from Reading Rainbow, which is really fun, but this is Imogene's Antlers by David Small. This girl wakes up and she has antlers on her head and she's okay with it, but other people are not. It's won the Parent Choice Award book for literature, and it was on Reading Rainbow. Let's see, Max Lucado books. Max Lucado books are beautiful. The illustrations are by Sergio Martinez, and they're just very soothing. They are Christian themed. This is If Only I Had a Green Nose. Basically, there is this wood carver who is kind of represents God, and they're called Wemmicks, are the people that he's made, and basically one of them decides it's really cool to have a green nose, so then everyone wants a green nose, and kind of the consequences of that, and then realizing that you're special the way you are. So Max Lucado books, good books, but Christian themed. All right, I think we're actually wrapping up, but I do have a few more. This is Farmer Brown Shears His Sheep, A Yarn About Wool. This is by Terry Sloat, illustrated by Nadine Bernard Westcott. This is such a fun one. The farmer shears his sheep and the sheep are cold, so they follow him, and it's the whole process of wool becoming sweaters in the end, and they, what does it say? They were warm again in their nice cardigans or something like that, and so it's really silly, and the illustrations are great, so highly recommend this one, and I will try to link all of them, but this is such a good one. Next we have Amelia Bedelia books, which again, I'm sure a lot of us grew up with these, but we've got Amelia Bedelia, and then we've got Teach Us Amelia Bedelia. These are by Peggy Parrish and illustrated by Fritz Siebel. We also had Play Ball Amelia Bedelia, but I hated it. It was so long, and it's about baseball. So many like baseball terms that the kids didn't understand, I barely understood, and it was just so long, and it just was a pass for me. Oh, actually, this one is illustrated by Lynn Sweet, so they're illustrated differently. Did not realize that till now, but Amelia Bedelia basically just misunderstands a lot of things. Like in this one, it's her first day like as the maid of the house, and they tell her to put out the lights, and she's like, oh, that's funny, I didn't know you needed to air out the lights, so she unscrews all the light bulbs and puts them outside. And then in Teaches Amelia Bedelia, she ends up accidentally subbing for a school class, and so the first thing is like, call the roll, and she's like, does anyone have a roll? Kid's like, I have one in my lunch, and so she like gets it out, puts it on the table, and goes, hi roll, and so it's just really silly. They also now have like Amelia Bedelia as a kid, which we've read some of those at the library. Amelia Bedelia, always my favorite. Teach Us Amelia Bedelia is fun too. We have more of these, but these are Little Critter books by Mercer Mayer. There's so many of these. I love Little Critter books as a kid, and it's funny reading them now where there's a few things where it's like just kind of against like the now most literature is kind of saying don't encourage kids to push their feelings down. It's okay to cry. And these kind of have the older thoughts on that where it's like you have to share everything and don't cry, whatnot. But I still really like them, and I love the illustrations. They're really sweet. And there's always like the little mouse or like a spider on every page, so it's kind of a fun little I Spy sort of moment. I don't know if other people know of this book, but it's a good one. It's Never Babysit the Hippopotamuses by Doug Johnson, illustrated by Abby Carter. This one has been well loved and is really falling apart, but it's basically just a kid, like a human kid, trying to babysit these hippopotamuses, and it's tough. Things go wrong. It's just silly. I do have some chapter books here. We started reading chapter books, me and the kids, within the last year. The kids are now 3 and 6, and it's been very fun. So we've done a lot of Beverly Cleary books. She actually grew up in Pacific Northwest, and that's really fun. So we've got Beezus and Ramona, Henry and Beezus. We haven't read that one yet. Ramona and her mother, Ramona and her father, Ramona Quimby age 8, Ramona the Pest, Henry in the Clubhouse, Henry and Ribsy. So we've got like the full collection here, and we've read most of them together, and it's been super fun. So anyways, we've got a bunch of Beverly Cleary books. We also have Dear Mr Henshaw here. We haven't read that one yet. Chapter books are so great because they tire little ones out before like nap time, and they just help set the tone, and then it's nice to kind of have something to come back to look forward to, and it's been great, especially because depending on the age, the kid might not really remember or know what's going on, and so then they can later reread the books and have a better understanding, but also have familiarity, and it's just so great. Okay, this next set of chapter books is a little more controversial. This is something that I had growing up that me and my siblings loved, and these are by Betty McDonald. They're old, and so I definitely have to censor some things just in terms of, you know, spanking, and then also some things about, you know, what a mom should do and what a wife should do. Anyways, they're all about like kids who have these problems or illnesses, and they all go to Mrs. Piggle-Wiggle. Mrs. Piggle-Wiggle has cures for them. For example, this book has the show-off cure, the crybaby cure, the bully, the whisperer, and the slowpoke. And so she's got different funny little cures for them that the parents all need her help to cure their kids. So this one has, this is the first one, and so it has Mrs. Piggle-Wiggle herself as a chapter, and then the won't pick up toys cure, the answer backer cure, the selfishness cure, the radish cure, the never want to go to bedders cure, the slow eater tiny bite taker cure, and the fighter quarrelers cure. So like the slow eater tiny bite taker, this kid just takes forever to eat, and so basically always the mother like calls a friend, and the friend is like, oh, have you heard of Mrs. Piggle-Wiggle? And then Mrs. Piggle-Wiggle is like, oh yes, I know your child, what a lovely child, because the kids like to go to her after school to her house because it's all silly. And so in the tiny bite taker, she gives the mom this set of dishes, and each day the set of dishes gets smaller, and the kid at first is so pleased, but by the end of it they are really hungry, and so they're like, please let me eat a full grilled cheese sandwich or whatever, and they chow down. Mrs. Piggle-Wiggle's farm, this is when Mrs. Piggle-Wiggle moves to a farm, and so in this the parents take their kids and they stay with her for like a week or so. This has the not truthful cure, the pet forgetter cure, the destructiveness cure, Brady cat cure, and the can't find it cure. This is Mrs. Pigwiggle's magic, and the chapters are Mrs. Pigwiggle's magic, the thought you setters cure, the tattletale cure, the bad table manners cure, the interrupters, the heedless breaker, the never want to go to schooler, and the waddle I doers. But they're just fun to kind of read, and you don't have to like read them in order, and you can pick and choose. But again, I do have to kind of censor some things. This is another chapter book that we haven't gotten to yet, but it's Parachuting Hamsters. I don't know if this is just a thing from my childhood or if people have also have nostalgia attached to this book. I don't really remember what it's about, but we'll one day hopefully get to reading it. But we have discovered Nancy Drew Clue Crew, because I'm sure that many of us grew up reading Nancy Drew or the Hardy Boys, and so these are the Clue Crew, and it's, you know, when they're young, it's all very simple, and we have a few of these. I've actually bought like 3 of them at the dollar store. This is the Pony Problems. We are currently reading this one right now. I think we're on chapter 6. They're simple, fun introduction to Nancy Drew. More Nancy Drew. This is the ballet mystery, the Cinderella ballet mystery, and this may have been the first one that we read together, but another one that I found at the dollar store. Got another Nancy Drew book. This one we have not read yet. This is Scream for Ice Cream. Again, dollar store find, but we will get to it. This is another one I got secondhand. We haven't read it yet, but the BFG, I'm sure that lots of you grew up with this in your life, and I've seen part of the movie that they made, but honestly not all of it. What is it, Snozcumbers? The BFG. I imagine that other people read these books, but these are the Cam Jansen books. This is young Cam Jansen, and so we've got the Pizza Shop Mystery and the Ice Skate Mystery, and so Cam Jansen, she just has a photographic memory, that's why they call her Cam, and they run into trouble, but her memory helps them save the day. Got another young Cam Jansen. What's fun about these is as you get older and you can read them yourself, you feel really smart because they have like quizzes, like, oh, can you remember what color shirt she's wearing at the front page? A not young Cam Jansen, just a Cam Jansen chapter book by David A. Adler, illustrated by Susanna Natty. Mystery of the Stolen Diamonds. It's not particularly long. I don't know how kids' books do this, but like kids' chapter books, you get to the end and it's like 60 pages and you're like, there's no way that was 60 pages. The kids love this one. I don't know why. They're just at the mall and there's a robbery and they end up like actually following the person and helping solve it. And it's actually like they are in danger. Kind of a weird one, but kids like it. I got this secondhand. It's Peter Pan. We've started reading it. Obviously it's like an abridged kids version of it. I always loved Peter Pan growing up. I called pancakes Peter Pancakes and thought that was so clever. The kids love me telling them the story of Peter Pan, which is, you know, obviously an extremely abridged version. And then also the song Lost Boy, we love singing that, and the chords on the piano are very easy, so I can just play chords and they can sing along. Peter Pan, good classic kids story. I would so very much love to know if you recognize any of these books from your childhood. I think this could be like a fun little memory lane conversation in the comments. These are just kind of classic, in my mind, classic, like books from my childhood, not newer books, but books that I grew up reading that I think still are absolutely fantastic. So I will have them linked below, and I hope you enjoyed this video. Be sure to follow me on Instagram. And again, I am a 9-to-5 nanny, but my life is also so much more than that. This year we are going to be moving into a house. There's going to be lots of DIYs happening. We're getting a puppy in the summer, and we also have a travel channel, which I will also link, and we have been to South America, Europe, all over the Pacific Northwest, and some other states as well. And I think that's all from me, so bye.